Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I don't see you, but I hear you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, dear devotee space, accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our beloved speaker for today, Her Grace JAYASRI Devi, our beloved auntie. And we thank you all for being here as always. Today is Friday, the last day of the busy working week. And Mother, as usual, we are eternally grateful that you are here today and many other times in the past and hopefully in the future to share your love and wisdom with us all. Personally, I find Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples. It's weird how sometimes some people think that anyone in the devotional service in ISKCON is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I don't know where they got this idea from, but we were not there when you were struggling. I remember one time His Holiness That Maharaj was speaking and was saying that sometimes he hears devotees say that gone are the olden days when it was so beautiful. And
Good old days.
Maharaj was saying,
good old days.
Good old days. How do you say good old days when there was nothing? It was just struggle, struggle, struggle. But of course, out of love for Srila Prabhupada, you sacrificed to help Srila Prabhupada to establish ISKCON. And today, I am here, as rascal as I am, I'm here and I'm enjoying it. So we are very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples, the sacrifices you had to go through to help Srila Prabhupada in this advanced age to establish this precious organization. So we pray that if we cannot even help improve it, we do not destroy it. This is our humblest prayer. So, I mean, I think it's enough with my talk, but this is my heartfelt feelings. And I'm happy I could express a little bit of it with you all today. And without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen, and Mother, you may take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
No, you are doing the Sanskrit.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will do that.
But let me say, the good old days, you know, you have to understand there wasn't a lot of opulence.
Yeah.
But Prabhupada was there. There is, I mean, people can say, oh, there's no difference of Vapu, the Vani. It's not really true. Prabhupada's personal presence, you know, he'd come in and he would give you Gayatri Mantra and he would, you know, or do the fire sacrifice and talk to you. You know, you are not getting that end of things. And a letter from Prabhupada was like, wow, a letter from Prabhupada. We didn't have books. We didn't have all this YouTube and all this stuff. But in a way, it was so much simpler. Prabhupada wanted this done, we did it. Prabhupada wanted that done, we did it. It was like a direct thing. And it wasn't like he was like up in the sky somewhere. He was in San Francisco or he was in LA. And when's the next letter come? When is he coming? It was so small, but so connected. And everyone was like family. And there wasn't all these weird philosophies. Like you just said, you started off by saying, I don't know where they get that everyone's a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. You know, there wasn't all these unusual mindsets. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Mother. Like I said, it is our fervent prayer that we do not knowingly or unknowingly destroy what Srila Prabhupada has sacrificed so much to establish.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. So we'll put the verse on the screen, and per mother's desire, I would do the Sanskrit slokas, and then mother will take over. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, text number 41. Tada Visheshara Krudo Bhagavaloka Bhavanha Anishyate Avatriya So Yata Drin Sata Parvadrik Tada Visheshwara Krudo Bhagavaloka Bhavanha Anishyate Avatriya So Yata Drin Sata Parvadrik Tada Visheshwara Krudo Bhagavaloka Bhavanaha Anishyate Avatriyaso Yata Drenishata Parvatrik. Mother, will you do the word for word translation, the synonyms?
Sure, Todd.
Okay.
At that time, Vishvashvara, the Lord of the universe, Krudaha, in great anger, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lokabhavan, Bhavna, desiring the welfare of the people in general. Hanisyati will kill, Avertya, descending himself, Aso he, Yata, as if, Adrin, the mountains, Sata Pravadrik, the controller of the thunderbolt Indra. Translation. At that time, the Lord of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the well-wisher of all living entities, will descend and kill them, just as Indra smashes the mountains with his thunderbolt. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4:8, the Lord descends as an incarnation to deliver the devotees and kill the miscreants. The Lord of the universe, of everything and of everything, will appear to kill the sons of Diti because of their offending the devotees of the Lord. There are many agents of the Lord, such as Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Goddess Durga, and Kali, who can chastise any formidable miscreant in the world. The example of mountains being smashed by a thunderbolt is very appropriate. The mountain is considered the most strongly built body within the universe, yet it can be easily smashed by the arrangements of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to descend in order to kill any strongly built body. He comes down just for the sake of his devotees. Everyone is subject to the miseries offered by material nature, but because the activities of the miscreants, such as killing innocent people or animals or torturing women, are harmful to everyone and are therefore a source of pain for the devotees, the Lord comes down. He descends only to give relief to his ardent devotees. The killing of the miscreants by the Lord is also the mercy of the Lord towards the miscreants, although apparently the Lord takes the side of the devotee. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his activities of killing the miscreants and favoring the devotees. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual master is kindly opening our eyes with his torchlight of knowledge. So we offer our most humble and respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. Do you want me to go on? Or
Yes.
You had
Yes.
something to say? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting verse. Here, Diti's being told that her sons that she has produced against the will of her husband are going to be killed by the Lord, which is pretty interesting concept. I mean, knowing more about the Lord's activities, how he's not partial. If someone's a demon, he's going to kill him for his good and for the overall good. And if he's a devotee, then Krishna will act on that level like he did with Prahlad and Dhruva. But it's an interesting concept for a wife to hear from her husband. So we know the stories. You have Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha. And the thing that I was thinking of here was, okay, the Lord of the universe and of everything would appear to kill the sons of, it's Driti, right?
Diti.
It's Diti, not Aditi. Aditi was the pious, because of their offending the devotees of the Lord. So here we come across the same thing, offending the devotees, right? And especially the pure devotees, which of course we don't know who's the pure devotee. Just because someone does a certain activity, a sannyas or a guru, doesn't mean that they're more of a pure devotee than the person that's worshiping the deity his whole life or distributing prasadam or books. We don't know who's the pure devotee. Not all pure devotees are. Well, take for instance Prabhupada's spiritual master, Gaurkishore Das Babaji. He lived in a stool field, right? He didn't associate with anyone, and if people came, sometimes they would chastise them. But he was such a great devotee that Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj begged him for initiation. You know, I mean, who would have thought? You would have thought maybe someone out on the street, on a, stand speaking to people was the pure devotee, and maybe Bhaktisiddhanta should take from him. But no, it was Gaurkishore Das Babaji. So the mad elephant offense, right? That was this is in Parvati's curse to Chitraketu. That's the 6th canto, 17th chapter, verse 15. Oh, impudent one, my dear son. She's talking to Chitraketu. Chitraketu had just unintentionally offended Lord Shiva. So Parvati is like really, really upset. Parvati's cursing Chitraketu. So, my dear son, take birth in a low, sinful family of demons so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted, saintly persons in this world. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, he says something and then he goes on. One should be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, of whom Lord Shiva is the best. While instructing Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava as Hatimata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a nice garden, it spoils the entire garden. Similarly, if one becomes like a mad elephant and commits offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his entire spiritual career is halted. It doesn't say stopped, it says halted. One should therefore be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. And then a little further in the Madhya Lila, 1956, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Rupa Goswami. And he says basically the same thing. If a devotee commits an offense to the feet of a Vaishnava by cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. Right? Our devotional life in Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu talks about the creeper of devotional service. So Lord Chaitanya is telling him that a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. It's like that is the last thing we need. We're up for Mangalarti, chanting all my rounds, I'm following all the principles, and then I become like a dacoit and start criticizing those devotees, and they're like this, and he did that, and oh, can you believe it? This guy's like this. You don't know You don't know who you're dealing with. In this way, this is Lord Chaitanya again, in this way, he leaves, the leaves and the creeper are dried up. I mean, that's scary. To me, that's like the scariest thing. Okay, I can fall off a cliff. Okay, I'm going to die anyway. So, okay, I can die. But to have my devotion crashed and finished, it's like, what would we have left? Then all we have is our struggle for existence. I'm going to make money. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids that drive me crazy. I'm going to, it's like, what a terrible consequence to be faced with. I remember when I was a brahmacharini, there was oh, let me, okay, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to Rupa Goswami. But in the purport, Prabhupada says, one should always think of oneself as the servant of the acharyas with an S. And thinking this, one should live in the society of Vaishnavas. However, if one thinks that he has become very mature and can live separate from the association of Vaishnavas, and thus gives up the regulated principles due to offending a Vaishnava, one's position becomes very dangerous. Offenses against the holy name are explained in the Adi Lila, chapter 8, verse 24. Giving up the regulative principles and living according to one's whims is compared to a mad elephant. Again, the same analogy, mad elephant, which by force uproots the bhakti lata, the creeper of devotion, and breaks it to pieces. In this way, the bhakti lata shrivels up. Such an offense is easily created when one disobeys the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called guru avajana. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offenses against the spiritual master by disobeying his instructions. As soon as one is deviated from the instructions of the spiritual master, the uprooting of the bhakti lata begins, and gradually all the leaves dry up. I mean, really, Prabhupada used to say, following the instruction, he would emphasize the specific instruction of the spiritual master is how you make an advancement. And when he came, right, once he met Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj and accepted it as the spiritual master, he geared his whole life towards serving him. I mean, really, his wife was not really interested when he would have them over, not Bhaktisiddhanta personally, but the God brothers. He wasn't even initiated for 10 years. I mean, he met Bhaktisiddhanta and he didn't get initiated for 10 years. He would have programs, his wife would go upstairs. Not that she was offensive, but she just wasn't interested. And so, but he always kept, my guru told me to do this, my guru told me to do that, to the point where he's telling his wife, he's going to basically pursue this path. Are you coming or not? And he says, is it tea or me? Are you going to give up your habits and follow? He would have taken her and the family along, I'm sure. And she said, oh, well, I guess it's tea. And that night, when everyone was, seeing him go, they thought he would be back because he was a traveling salesman with a pharmacy. He had his own pharmacy at certain points. He worked for Mr. Bose at a certain point. But Prabhupada said they thought that he would come back, but he never came back. He followed the instruction of his spiritual master. So he lived really simply, right? It's not that, I mean, we have ISKCON, we got this, we got that. I'm going to go traveling, and there's like all these people I'm going to see, and they're going to have a room and a house, and I'm going to Vrindavan, and everyone's going to be showering flowers on me, and there'll be classes. Prabhupada was by himself, and he was in Vrindavan. And he wasn't living at the Radha Damodar temple at the time, but he didn't really have anything. He was sometimes hungry. Of course, in Vrindavan, a sadhu can go and beg for rotis and stuff, and there's places. But, Prabhupada was very wise. He was a businessman also. So he had it worked out, and then he got the Radha Damodar rooms, and he started translating into English the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, I personally can't conceive of how he had so much knowledge. I mean, my ability for knowledge is like a frog or something, but Prabhupada was like a Lord Brahma kind of, just a pure devotee. I mean, just amazing knowledge. So there he is in a very simple way at the Radha Damodar temple. He's translating. He's going to Delhi with no money, getting a little money from here, a little money sponsorship for there. And, I think Sri Maharaji also helped sponsor the Bhagavatams. Anyway, and then he gets 3 books. And if you've seen those original books, they're very simple. There's no pictures. The English isn't quite as edited as it is in Prabhupada's final printing from Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And, the printing is crooked and the pages fall out because it's done in India. And so he accomplishes 3 books, 300 sets of books, and then he gets free passage on a cargo ship. A cargo ship. I mean, even to go on a cargo ship for a few minutes and take a tour is like, I don't know if this is like my favorite place to be. But he spent 35 days on it. Anyway, and why? He was following the instruction of a spiritual master. He could have easily said, well, I'm in Vrindavan. That's pretty good. I'm sannyas. That's pretty good. I'm preaching. I'm at the Radha Damodar temple. Hey, I'm good. I'm making advancement. I'm sure my spiritual master's pleased. No, he had a specific instruction, and he was going to carry it out. Even at 70 years old, wait till you get to be 70 and see if you would want to cross over the ocean on a cargo ship by yourself, not knowing anyone, with $7 in rupees, going to America, New York, snowing, and he's got these little rubber shoes. It's like, I mean, either the person's a saint or is crazy. And Prabhupada, just fortunately for us, was a saint. So, but this was all the specific instruction of a spiritual master: go to the West and preach in English. Who would have the courage? I mean, who would have the courage to do that? But when it's coming, but he said he had that faith when he landed in the Boston, well, not landed, when they got into the Boston harbor, he wrote those beautiful prayers. My dear Lord, I don't know why you brought me here to this place. I mean, we're born in America, so we're kind of used to the garbage. But here he's coming from Vrindavan when it was like really quiet. He's living at a temple. He's surrounded by Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, Jiva Goswami's Samadhi, saintly people, very simple lifestyle. And he's going to New York City. I mean, what determination. My dear Lord, I don't know why you brought me here to this place. And he knew that the people were all Christians. Now, when did anyone, bef before they met the devotees, did anyone ever hear Hare Krishna? You ever go into a Krishna temple? It's like, actually, before I met Srila Prabhupada, when I'm from Hawaii. I was living in the country, and I'd rented a room from this old lady. She was 40. I was like 19 at the time. And I had a little job. I would hitchhike to work at this little job down the road, Lani Loa Inn. And then I'd come back, but I was really looking for God at the time. So I would just meditate. I was already following all the regulator principles. There was no Hare Krishna there. It was just Krishna from within, giving me that understanding. So one day, she gets a poster in the mail, in those rolls, those cardboard rolls. She pulls it up, and it's this like blue boy. It's like there's a blue boy with long black hair, and he's sitting on a rock, and there's a deer and a calf. It's like, okay, a blue boy, okay. And she reads the letter. It's from her son. My dear mother, I've just been initiated. My name is Muni Bunda. Chant Hare Krishna. It's like, okay, chant Hare Krishna. It's like sometimes Krishna does things in unusual ways. There I was. Krishna put me at the house of a woman whose son had just gotten initiated for Prabhupada. But keep in mind, there was no Hare Krishna in Hawaii at the time. It was just Krishna's calling. Okay, you fallen fool, come this way. So I'm trying to find my way, looking for God. Actually, the Bible says, what? Knock and the door will be open. So I was like knocking here and knocking there, and Krishna was opening doors. It was actually very far out, very far out. Okay, so on we go. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, 39th verse. When the Lord came, he was pleased with everyone. Therefore, it was stated herein, well, Sanskrit, Krista Prasad Smukham. The Lord knew that even the offensive doorman, now this is the Lord coming when the four Kumars are trying to enter into Vaikuntha, and the gatekeepers, the doormen, are rude, they're offensive. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees. And look at what happened to them. I mean, the Krishna may not come to us and personally tell us, okay, you guys, you can take birth here or there, but it's being noted when we're offensive. So there is going to be some kind of reaction. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees, although by chance, they committed an offense at the feet of other devotees. To commit an offense against a devotee is very dangerous in devotional service. Lord Chaitanya therefore said that an offense to a devotee, here again, is just like a mad elephant run loose. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it tramples all the plants. Similarly, an offense to the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotional service. On the part of the Lord, there was no offended mood because he does not accept any offense created by his sincere devotees. So Jai Vijay didn't offend him, but a devotee should be very cautious of committing offenses at the feet of other devotees. I mean, he specifies pure devotee in one part, and then he specifies other devotees just in general. I mean, I have to say, I've been living at a temple for about 57 years, and almost always, I'm like not living in the temple, but at, around, next to. So there's always interactions with people that can turn not friendly. It's like, oh, what's up with this guy? Why did he tell me that? Or who's she looking at? What did what's her problem? It's easy with that mundane mentality. And that's what we're working on. And if we do, I chastised my son yesterday because he won't go to the dentist and take care of his tooth. And he was just in the hospital for a week with major surgery. And it's like I thought, well, let me try and like heavy him out, here, me, and he's like 200 pounds, and I'm on the phone and yelling at him, what do you think? Are you stupid? I know you're not stupid. And I felt so bad after. I had to call him and apologize just in case, because, he's at the temple a lot. I just wanted to make sure that I was okay. But a devotee should be very cautious of committing offenses at the feet of another devotee. The Lord, being equal to all and being especially inclined to his devotee, looked as merciful at the offenders as at the offended. Counteracting offenses. Okay, now I was thinking, okay, so we've got all these offenses, we have to be careful, but what do we do if we make offenses? Right? So there was some different angles of vision that I found. Anjalila 131. When he saw the dog sitting that way and chanting the name of Krishna, Shivananda Sain, because of his natural humility, immediately offered his obeisances to the dog, just to counteract his offenses to it. Right? So here it is. Shivananda Sain, he's an associate of Lord Chaitanya. There's a dog and he offended the dog. Okay, but then he sees the dogs chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, so is there much of a difference? We are offensive to another devotee, and we know that devotee is chanting Hare Krishna. We know that they're at the temple. We know they're doing service. Seems logical that we should at least also offer our obeisances to counteract any offenses, you know. I mean, whether you go up to the devotee who might like kick you in the face, even if you try to offer your obeisances, but still to make some attempt seems like, I mean, it doesn't say the dog was looking at him, so somewhere we can offer our obeisances and apologize, even if we're not looking at personally at the devotee in their face. Okay, Prakasananda. This is Prakasananda, the impersonalist, right? Lord Chaitanya was at their door and they were all Mayavadis. And he sat at where their shoes were. He sat in the wash your foot spot. And Prakasananda, Lord Chaitanya was so beautiful. And finally, when Prakasananda realized who this person was, he apologized. Formerly, I committed many offenses against you by blaspheming you. Look at, he's blaspheming Lord Chaitanya, and still he's given a chance. Lord Chaitanya is just sitting there by the shoes to give him a chance to rectify himself. But now the effects of my offenses are counteracted by my touching your lotus feet. So in some circumstances, I guess, of course, that's the Lord's lotus feet, but still, offering obeisances to devotees is help. And here in a room conversation, Hridayananda, someone had asked a question about the greatest offense. Hridayananda, he wants to know if the greatest offense is to disobey the spiritual master. And Prabhupada says, yes, that is the first offense. If you accept Guru and again disobey him, then what is your position? You are not a gentleman. He doesn't say you're going to hell. He says you are not a gentleman. You promise before the Guru, before Krishna, before the fire, that I shall obey your order. I shall execute this. And again, you do not do this. Then you are not even a gentleman. What to speak of a devotee? This is common sense. And then Prabhupada goes on. He says there's an English word. He says impure. There's an English word like that. So that you may not fall victim to sinful activities. You shall go on always chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Devotees chant in the background. Not that after committing sin, you'll utilize. Now this is okay. There's offenses against devotees, if spiritual master. This is offenses against the holy name, right? Not that after committing sin, you'll utilize Hare Krishna mantra to counteract it. Don't do that. That is a great offense. Just to keep yourself aloof from sinful activities, you always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. But don't utilize Hare Krishna mantra to counteract your sinful activities. So I have gotten an instrument, Hare Krishna mantra. Let me do all nonsense, and I shall chant in the evening Hare Krishna, and it will be neutralized. Actually, they are doing, he said. There are so many rascals. They are committing this offense on the strength of Hare Krishna mantra. That is the greatest offense. They will never make any progress in spiritual life, if I utilize the Hare Krishna mantra for my material purposes. right. So when I was a brahmacharini, I was actually young at one point in time. So I was living in an all-girls temple over in Kauai, and there was a letter from Srila Prabhupada, and he was talking about these two devotees. One was the temple president, and one was the head pujari, right? You would expect if you finally got to the position where you're the temple president, that you're pretty well situated, or the head pujari, but both of them had left Krishna consciousness, just like that. They lost their taste or their direction, whatever. Prabhupada said, they think they left on their own, but Krishna took away their taste because one was offensive to the women, right? Women, here we are. And we know within our society, some people are offensive to women. Some men are offensive to their wives. Oh, you're just a stupid woman. You're just, says here in the Bhagavatam, your brain is the size of a pea, whatever, right? It's, that's such a misunderstanding. It's just so sad. So one had offended women and one had offended children. Back in the day, in the good old days. um, that was the beginning, and we didn't really know what was good and what was bad and what was right and what was wrong, but we were having children. And some people who managed temples were anxious for those women to go out on Sankirtan to do service. And so the children sometimes got the bad reputation of being in the way or Maya, so all throughout our movement, they were not placed in a very high standard where they should have been totally respected for having taken birth in this movement. It wasn't a good understanding at the time, very immature. So this one devotee, Krishna had forced him to leave because of his offenses to children. So since we need to be very broad-minded, I mean, the women thing, I think they're still, just from being with Malati and Vishaka recently, the women's ministry is there for a reason. Most people are fine, but there is a group that sees women in not how Prabhupada saw them, I mean, even if a vessel can't hold as much as another vessel, doesn't mean it's not valuable in holding, and doing a service. So, yeah, that's kind of sad. Fortunately, I haven't been faced with too much of that throughout my little career of devotion, fortunately, because I probably would fight. You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, you know. Anyway, that's a whole other subject matter. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. Okay, so here's he's going to descend. He's going to come and kill these two sons of Diti. Hiranyakasipu. He's had his own pastimes with Lord Nrsingadev, and then his brother Hiranyaksha, Krishna came again as a boar, right? Slapped him upside his head, finished him off because they were offensive to the devotees and his devotees. So Krishna says, whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, so descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, it is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. I mean, that is so logical, right? If God is good, if God is great, he can appear to anybody anytime he wants and lift them up from where they're at. For a group, a religious group, to think that only their little teaching is right and everyone else is off the path is just so immature. It's just such a, like Prabhupada says, a poor fund of knowledge. So to help them, actually, I haven't had too many people get into it with me in the at the palace, but sometimes I kind of go out of my way so it won't go down that path, talking about our scriptures and the teachings and stuff like that. Sometimes I bring up Moses. It's like, well, you know, because that Christian Jesus is the only way is it's just so narrow. So before, if I know that someone is Christian, maybe they have a shirt on that says, you know, I love Christ or something like that. I say, well, Jesus was a perfect son. He came, but before Jesus, Moses was there. And we know that Moses was a representative of God. Actually, the Lord appeared as a burning bush and spoke to Moses. I mean, I think that's really far out. Krishna appeared as a burning bush and gave him the Ten Commandments. So it's not that religion started with Jesus. Jesus was a servant who brought the teachings to a certain group of people at a certain time. Then we can see the result, how great it is. Anyway, that's my way. So the next verse, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I appear myself millennium after millennium. Yeah, we'd be in a mess if the Lord didn't have charge of all this. So the two sons of Diti were killed by different incarnations, right? Varaha, Hiranyakasipu, and Lord Nrsingadev. All right. But there's times when he comes when he doesn't kill demons. Like we had Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha came because the principles of religion were being deviated from. They were killing animals on the pretext of it being said in the Vedas, and he didn't want that. So he appeared as Lord Buddha and took them away from the Vedas. But I did live in the Far East. I lived in Taiwan. I lived in Thailand, Malaysia, and in Hawaii. There's a lot of Orientals there. It's a lot of Japanese there. So there's Buddhist temples there. But they say there's no God. They say that they're following the path of the Buddha, but they actually worship Buddha. All the temples, they have big Buddhas are offering incense and flowers and food. And I mean, you can say it's not worshiping, but it's worshiping and he's Krishna. So there is benefit there as far as I can see. Okay, Lord Kapila Dev came, right? He didn't take out his sword and start killing any miscreants. Lord Chaitanya came. He was there and he was just singing and dancing. What a perfect person for this age, right? Lord Chaitanya is dancing and chanting. So when you go on YouTube or if you're circumstantially scrolling through Facebook, that is just a bunch of commercials and stuff now. It's just really weird. But you run after one kirtan after another, and it's like there's all these kirtans all over the world. It's quite amazing. And so our youth, instead of hanging out at the disco, I don't know if they have discos anymore, or they used to have raves, I think, when my kids were teenagers. Instead of they're at a kirtan, which is very cool. Lord Chaitanya is so clever, engage us in something we want to do. We want to sing and dance. Okay, let's go to the 24-hour kirtan. Let's go on Harinam. We like it. And if we didn't have that, can you imagine if we had to just, I mean, all glories to chanting japa. But if all we had was our japa if you're really advanced, you'd be fine. But if we didn't have kirtan to rock out a little bit, we'd all be a little, most of us, a little stuck. Okay, so how's Krishna appeared nowadays, right? We have Lord Chaitanya. He's appeared in his holy name. How unique, how incognito. Krishna's very tricky, right? We think we're just having a good time at a kirtan, chanting, but actually Krishna's there and helping us. Very compassionate. Attracts the whole world, right? We go, like right now, tomorrow is I mean, we're in West Virginia, right? I mean, West Virginia is not like the business capital of the world or the professional capital of the world. West Virginia is the poorest state. The people are very simple. And there's a parade in Moundsville. I mean, Moundsville is like probably take 5 minutes to drive through it. But there's a Christmas parade tomorrow. And there'll be 3,000, 5,000 people there. So there, we're going to be with our little float and our like 7,000 homemade cookies with our hat on with a kirtan. And people love it. New Vrindavan, when I got here, people did not like us. The people in the area, very discriminate against us. And then when the unusual things happened in New Vrindavan that you may or may not know about, New Vrindavan lost all credibility. I mean, people were afraid to come here. There were kids on this back road where I live that got stuck in the middle of the night. They were afraid of me. It's like, no, we don't want your help. Our parents told us about you guys. Thanks, we're fine. There they are in the dark at night, no phone, so I went several times and I finally got them to come and use the phone and call somebody. And then they just totally changed. And then I took them up to breakfast and it's like, wow, you guys are great. It's just there was a certain time. And now we're with Chamber of Commerce, just from being who we are and not being weird. Like we're so much better than you guys. We're the Hare Krishnas. You don't come any close to us because our philosophy is higher than yours, and you are still eating meat, and we're vegetarian. We only eat prasadam. We're so great. People pick up on the attitude. Yeah. Anyway, I can see that I'm advancing slowly but surely. I'm happy, and I can see why it says that sometimes it takes lifetimes. But I can't imagine what I would be like if I'd gone down another path. The martinis at night when you come home from working 8 hours at the hospital or whatever you're doing. The kids are all on the video games or going out and getting drunk on the weekend, and you're whatever, going to have your hamburger for dinner and watch a football game. I can't imagine living like that. Anyway, I think we're very fortunate. Krishna's so kind. All right, I wanted to share with you our India adventure. Malati and I went to India on the 10th of October. Now, Malati is the world traveler. Malati does not stay in New Vrindavan more than a few days before she's off on another trip, whether she's driving to Columbus, to Detroit, Farmington Hills. I mean, it's every weekend. Right now, she's off in South America. They wanted her to come. She's gone to like 4 different countries. And then she'll be back. She's there for a month. I've never seen it. She's probably in the Guinness Book of World Records for traveling. No grass grows under her feet. So we started off to go to Radhanath Swami's Yatra in Govardhan. And that's been, when I've gone with Maharaj, it's been maybe 200 or 300 people, or maybe 7 people on a yatra in India. So we started off, we went to London, Heathrow Airport, and we had like 8 hours before our next flight, so we got a day room. We went, and some wonderful devotees um, from the London Yatra came, brought us lunch. I had a terrible flight over there. I was like super sick. But and then that same day, a few hours later, we got on another plane and went to Mumbai. So we went to the Juhu temple. First of all, Mumbai is, I think, 10 times busier than it was the last time I was there. Like, it must be some kind of karma, car karma, to be born in Mumbai. It's it's drastic. I mean, I thought LA was bad, but Mumbai, that's so we were there for a day, and because of who she is, we had a wonderful room. We got to tour Prabhupada's quarters, which was really nice. We would go up, it was Damodar, and because, we had special place, all the security guards were stopping people to let us go, and we were, offering our candles and everything. And then the restaurants there are really good at the Juhu Temple. And then we got in a car and we went to the Govardhan Eco Village. That is a great project. I mean, I was super impressed. If you haven't been there, make a point if you go to India to go. It's such an incredible project. And of course, we had the best facility for staying. We had our own car. We had one of the ladies whose husband manages the place. She was our day in and day out tour guide to take us to all the places. Maharaj was there. We spent some time with him. They have an Ayurvedic massage place. It was incredible. It was such a wonderful project. And back to Mumbai and then to the airport. We had 7 flights altogether. So I let her plan it. So then we drove from the Delhi airport. We flew to Delhi because all the trains, I wanted to take a train so you could see the countryside, but the trains, because of whatever it was, 15,000 people being on the yatra going to where we were going, there was no room on the trains. So we got a ticket on the plane, and then we drove by car to Govardhan Hill. And that was very cool. That's where the yatra was. And there was what is it, Diwali? Thousands of people. Also very crowded, little streets, not like Mumbai, but very crowded, lots of people. And so amazing. Well, several things. The yatra itself had a huge tent. I don't know if there were 12, 15,000 people in that tent. I mean, it was huge, huge. As some pious farmer, let us use his field that wasn't in production right then. And they put up this huge tent and all these smaller tents and tents for the prasadam. And one tent had the kitchen. I mean, you should have seen it. It was like Garanga. That was Garanga. Huge pots and a railway track inside to take the prasadam to where it was being served. There was the Gita Nagari devotees were there. Rajalila was there. The crew was there, Kamagiri. So we had a lot of good hangout time. And Maharaj would come every evening, like 5 o'clock, and he'd talk supposed to be till like 7, but it was like till 9 or something like, Maharaj can talk. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. So, and then in the daytime, they had 160 buses. 160 buses. That's a lot of buses. So the buses would break off into groups and go to the different places around Govardhan. Radikund, we went to Kusum Sarova, Nandagram. So the groups, but we had a car and we would go in our little group with older Matajis and our tour guide. So that was an incredible experience. Really, definitely worth going to. And Malati and I went to this Russian yatra that was there, and I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, they've built some incredible buildings. They have it's right in Govardhan, and he was taking us around. There's a forest inside, not big trees, but they're all trees from the actual forest of Vrindavan that they've taken and transplanted. So they have all the trees, the Kadamba tree, they have this, they have that. It was just a wonderful experience there. And Kusam Sarova, there's a little temple, like little temple, called Banabihari. And it's Krishna and Radharani. Krishna's a Govardhan Shila, Radharani's a Govardhan Shila. And it's the story of Krishna combing Radharani's hair, and she's got a mirror and she's looking at Krishna. So the Banabihari temple, but the devotees there, ISKCON is not taking it over exactly, but a good helping part. So we would have lunch there, and their back area is right at Kusum Sarovar. That was a wonderful experience, but it's right on the parikrama of Govardhan. And there was as bad as the drivers are in India, it's just thousands and thousands and thousands of people walking around Govardhan Hill. Young, old, crippled, and some doing that Dandavat Parikrama, like with 108 rocks and putting a rock, offering obeisance, standing up, putting another rock, offering obeisances in the same place, and then moving one body distance and doing it again. Or there was a lot of people, husbands and wives even, with a piece of foam, put the foam down, offer obeisances, get up, put the foam down, going around the whole hill, like days, takes days, thousands of them trying to go to, was it Varshana? Radharani's place. Now they have it's called the rope. It's like a ski lift, or you can go up the steep steps. But of course, we weren't about to partake of the steps anymore this time. So we went up the ski lift, but just like thousands of pious, pure, I mean, very impressive. All right, so we finished with that. We went around Govardhan Hill by driving, and then we went off in a car at as they say, breakneck speed. We had not the best driver. We were going to, I mean, he was passing all the cars, like really fast past all the cars. And I kept telling Mozzie, can you please tell him to slow down? He's weaving in and out of the cars, and we're just like passing everyone for like 6 hours. Can't you just like ask him to? It's okay. It's okay. No, I don't feel that it's okay. We have our arguments. Anyway, so we got there quickly. There was a really nice hotel that we stayed at. It wasn't a fancy Days Inn, Marriott type of hotel. It was just like a cottage motel. It was just like 2 stories, 3 stories, maybe 4, but all hand painted, old building, great, with a vegetarian restaurant and a big grass area where you could sit outside, and a sitar player or a tabla player or something like that, depending on the time of the day. And then that was also mad traffic. Like once you step out the door, you're in madness. So we had these little auto rickshaws, and we ended up with this one driver who would come and take us. We would go to the Govindaji temple. Govinda is Rupa Goswami's deity, right? And he was in Vrindavan, and his temple is the one that got almost destroyed by Aurangzeb, the demoniac Muslim king. So when the deities were all moved secretly, it took like 20 years or something to get them from Vrindavan. And the king of Jaipur had built a city to protect those deities. Govindaji, Govindadev, the king built the temple so he could see it from his balcony. He could see the deities. So Govindaji, Govindadev is really a wonderful place to visit. So we went every night, and they have the best kirtan. It was just so much fun. So we went for Mangalartik a few times. We also went around to see 3 or 4 other the deities from Vrindavan. I can't remember. Radha Vinod. I can't remember the other ones that we saw. Radha Gopinath, I think. Anyway, so that was a great adventure. And then we drove to the Delhi airport again, another 6-hour drive or whatever, but this time we had a really good driver. And then we flew to Amritsar. Now there, Amritsar is like super clean. Traffic was not madness. A lot of rich people, a lot of rich people. And one of Radhanath Swami's disciples, Raghunath, has cultivated a congregation of these people. And they're all extremely wealthy people. So we were having lunch and dinner at all these different people's houses. We stayed in this bungalow that our bedroom, we all both had our own bedroom, and the bedroom with the bathroom was probably at least as big as my whole apartment, each bedroom. Anyway, but we were going every night to one of their houses, and they all had these big, beautiful altars with beautiful deities. And they worship their deities too, because they don't have a temple. They all have their own deities. And we went to some of the places Prabhupada stayed in Amritsar. And we went to the Golden Temple, the Sikh temple, the Golden Temple. That was quite an amazing experience. The temple, like New Vrindavan, our palace of gold, is gold leaf. Gold leaf is like a tissue paper, like a thin tissue of gold. The Golden Temple, the gold on it is probably 1/4 of an inch thick. The whole inside, and I believe the whole outside, is solid gold. And you can't come near the temple without walking through a length of running, like a little river that's about 4 inches deep, so that, and you don't have shoes on, to wash your feet before you get anywhere near into the complex of the Golden Temple. The women have to have their head fully covered, like not something covered. The men have to wear a bandana around their hair. And it's such a sacred space. Prabhupada liked the Sikhs. Anyway, what was a wonderful experience. Clean. The people that go there, the Sikhs that go there, they do hours of service, selfless service, cleaning. The place was spotless. And there was like a bridge, a walkway that goes out to the Golden Temple itself. And there was like 4 or 5 deep to go in, and a long line. But by Krishna's arrangement, the devotees knew somebody who knew somebody, and we came in through our own line, right inside. And then, you can't stay in there. You walk through and you walk out. Anyway, and then We went back to Mumbai for a day, and then we went to the manor in London. And we had a nice facility, wonderful devotees, some of the devotees that we knew, and some that Malati, of course, knew because she lived there. And we had programs every day and went to a ahimsa farm. Anyway, the manor's beautiful. And then we came home. But I have to say, especially when I was sick on the airplane, I was thinking, Prabhupada, I just listened to a tape of Prabhupada saying, if you live in New Vrindavan, you don't have to go on any pilgrimages because everything is here. So I was thinking, well, all this traveling can be difficult. All right, so I think I'm done. I've been babbling, so.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mother, for weaving through different verses to help us understand the grave dangers of offenses. And then coming to your trip to India, Chopari in particular. Yeah, my godbrother, my big godbrother here, Harichakra Prabhu and the family were there, and there were quite a number of devotees from Gita Nagri who were also there. And it's so beautiful hearing you share the pastimes because lots of what you shared, they shared that with me. And I was so, wow, someone offering his farmland and the farmland was turned to a city.
Turned into a city.
Wow, it's amazing. All glories to the devotees. So dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask, share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Mother, if I may ask you this question, there is this saying that to err is human. So as long as we are human beings, there may come a point in time that we may err, we may make some errors or mistakes. But my wife in particular has been listening to lots of Vaishnav pastimes. And from lots of the pastimes, we see that when devotees give their commitment, when they make a pronouncement that this is what I will do, no matter what comes after that, what they promise they're going to do is what they're going to do. Now, my question is, you were explaining so beautifully how Srila Prabhupada followed his guru's instructions. Now, if a guru or someone in the position of authority gives instructions, as we are in the devotional service in ISKCON, and me receiving the instruction from my superior authority, think or feel that it is an improper instruction. And the reason I'm saying it's improper instruction is because I am trying in my own little way to have Srila Prabhupada as the gold standard, what Srila Prabhupada taught, how Srila Prabhupada lived his life. For example, how Srila Prabhupada treated his Vaishnavi disciples. So if someone is a guru in ISKCON and he is telling me to, not indirectly, giving me instructions to look down on women. And I look at how Srila Prabhupada lived his life with his disciples. He did not live that way. Am I obliged to follow such instructions because it is coming from my superior? Or there is a way I can also approach the authority and explain to such an authority why it is difficult for me to follow the instructions. If he can give me further explanation why he's speaking like that, will that be considered an offense? Please help.
I mean, if it's your spiritual master, it's one thing. If it's a temple authority, it's another thing, or some type of authority. Have you heard the story by Jayapataka Maharaj? When Prabhupada was there and Prabhupada said something about roses, and Jayapataka Maharaj was going to go get a rose or roses for Srila Prabhupada, and his temple president told him, no, you can't.
No, I haven't heard.
Yes, you look for that online. He said, I did it anyway. He went and he didn't care what the temple president said. He went and got the flowers for Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I personally have had some unfortunate circumstances with someone who was not only the temple president, but the GBC. This was many years ago, who did some, I mean, it's happened more than once, some things that I didn't know at the time, of course, that, you know, and then they ended up leaving right after because they were already on their way out. They were already not well situated, which I didn't know at the time. But they were my GBC and the temple president. So, you know, I got misled at that point. I didn't stay misled, but I got misled. And then New Vrindavan, that when it went through its thing, you know, the authority, the guru here, got hit on the head. And then, you know, find out later that the doctor said when someone gets hit on the head with that kind of damage, they revert back often to what they were like in their youth.
Mm.
So he wasn't in sound mind, but because of his position, he was followed.
Mm.
And, you know, it created a lot of problems. So I talked with Radhanath Maharaj about it because Maharaj was here at the time, and Malati, and I mean, she had just gotten here. But he said, I think we were here and stayed because Krishna wanted us to, because ultimately we were the people that brought New Vrindavan back into ISKCON.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if none of us were here, then it would have gone the way of this deviant situation, and we would have lost New Vrindavan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for something like that, to look down on devotees or think that someone is less because, I mean, Prabhupada didn't do it like that. I mean, he gives certain instruction, right? A woman should be married. She should follow her husband, da, 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 da. That's fine if you have a great husband. But if you have a husband that's not following,
Abusive? Yeah.
then, or abusive, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
You know, I personally saw one of my god sisters, and I won't mention who, she moved into the temple in Hawaii when Prabhupada came for a visit. And when she went home, she found another woman in her house. And this man, her husband, was initiated by Prabhupada. And, you know, she was pretty upset. And she talked to Prabhupada. And he said, he wrote to her, I would not stay with such a person. So she ended up leaving her husband at that point. You know, it depends what the situation is, you know, and how much you're willing to change your own position or jeopardize your own position, but I certainly wouldn't personally go against something that I know Prabhupada, the way he did something for somebody else who was obviously not as advanced,
Yeah.
It's easy to take the words or the teachings of Prabhupada and put it into a certain context. Okay, a woman can this, that, she said, follow her husband. Well, what if you don't have a good husband, or if you don't have a husband at all? Well, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to go away, you go find another man just to have a husband to be with. I mean, for me, my marriage did not turn out to be as I expected. And I had my choice. I could go find another man. Of course, at that day within ISKCON, it wouldn't have been hard to find another devotee man. But I had children, sons. So do I want to be with somebody not knowing if they're going to gel with my children? No. Better for me to be, that was my choice, better for me to be alone. And I had several offers after that, but it's like I was trying to follow a certain thing. But does that mean that I can't make any advancement because I don't have a husband to follow? No, I have a spiritual master. I have the teachings. I'm trying to go back to Godhead, not establish myself more into the material creation.
Wow, thank you so much, Mother. Very helpful. Thank you so much. It's been a concern for me, particularly because even though we do not want to disrespect our authorities, we do not want to disrespect devotees in general, but I feel that Srila Prabhupada is the gold standard. So
yeah, of course.
he brought the teachings, and he tailored it in such a way that this is the prescription he's giving us. And if someone who is supposedly representing Srila Prabhupada should tell me something contrary to what Srila Prabhupada says, then I may ask a question. And sometimes you ask a question, and merely asking a question, you get labeled as disrespectful, disobedient. It's a bit difficult, but your response helps a lot. And we prayed in the first place that we ourselves try to become exemplary, and that our authorities also try their best to represent Srila Prabhupada so that they can help make life a little easier for all of us. Hare Krishna, that is just what I wanted to share. That your response to my question helps me a lot, and hopefully it helps other devotees also. Anyone else with something to ask or to share? Well, since devotees are kind of quiet, I have this other question. We read how Arjun and the brothers, they went out, and then Arjun found Draupadi, and he was the one who was going to marry Draupadi. At the time, the four brothers never imagined that all of them were going to marry Draupadi. So they got home, and Arjun tells his mother, Mother Kunti, "Hey, mother, look at what I found. And the mother, before she could turn, he says, share it with your brothers. And I am thinking, why wouldn't Mother Kunti change her statement after recognizing that what Arjun found is not some item she found on the floor or somewhere? It's a lady, precious thing. And same thing, even Ram's own father, he gave his word to his wife, and the wife came with some strategy. And he could not take out that, no, I cannot do that. So my question is, to err is human only existed in Kali Yuga, or it's always been existing? And if to err is human is ever existent in this material world, why wouldn't such great souls make amendments when they know that what they said is going to cause trouble?
Krishna's pastimes are quite unusual. They can be bewildering.
Yes.
But we're not so when did Draupadi come in the scene? Was it 5,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about a total different time. Even Prabhupada talks about his mother when he was young, and what was that, 150 years ago, 120 years ago?
Yeah.
Would not leave her house even to go next door without going in a palanquin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that make any sense to us at all?
No,
But
not at all.
that was the culture at the time. Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking 5,000 years ago. Who knows the standard? I don't think we can even conceive of their lifestyle at the time, and what it meant to give your word or to say something. I mean, you could see that throughout the whole Mahabharata, the killing of Arjuna's son, what's his name?
Yeah, Ganga and Shantanu.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories that you go, well, why didn't they just do this? Well, because there was a certain standard of, I mean, the fact that they were fighting a war and killing each other, and then at night getting together and eating.
Yeah.
How can you, and don't hit someone below the belt? I mean, does anybody in battle follow that code of gentleman chivalry? No. There's no such thing. So how can we understand some of these things 5,000 years later in Kali Yuga, drenched in the mode of ignorance and passion? Who? Yeah, so the age makes a lot of difference. Yes. The age. Well, Hamsaduta Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hamsaduta Prabhu.
Your Grace, please, I need like 5-10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna. I think you're in a bad end.
Okay, but I have to leave.
You have to leave.
I have to leave in like 10 minutes. Well, no, 2:30. Yeah, in 10 minutes I have to go. I have to be up at the palace at 12.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obeisances, Mataji. Thank you very much. Very nice. All what you've shared with us, especially your pilgrimage to India. So enticing. Yeah. So this last question by Sahadi Prabhu. I was just thinking, I would have answered differently, but I really love the way you answered with so much suggestion. I really love the way you answered. But then still, I'm thinking in my mind, still the answer I would have given, and I want to hear your opinion. So I was thinking that most of these things we read even though they're historical and they're far behind in time, but they are still supposed to be to guide us. So I would think that it's another way for us to know the importance of keeping our word of honor. And I will always want to keep to my words and always wish that others keep to their words. So even though your answer is so perfect, I still think that the scriptures are meant to guide us. The scriptures are meant to, inspire us to live to a certain standard. So if we take the stance that, well, time so much has changed and we're in Kali Yuga, wouldn't that be another way of rationalizing everything in the scripture and just want to continue in a debased way of living and not living up to any higher standard? So that's my fear. But I love your answer very much. It's a very sad, honest answer. But at the same time, I was feeling that the scriptures are meant to guide us, and such things are showing us the importance of how we have to keep our words, even though they may be mortifying. But we have to keep our words. If we speak, we should stand by our words. And I've found it very difficult living with people and coping with people who say one thing and do another.
Right.
I just don't believe like this is. I just don't believe the excuse that Scully used. I just feel like, come on, you're crazy. Anyway,
Well, my actual thought was in saying that her standard of keeping her word was so high that was the example that we should keep our word. She stuck by her words, and that's what I meant. Even in a situation that was so precarious as sharing this woman as your wife, her word was so powerful at the time that it was kept by the sons. But nowadays, it's true. I mean, the word of people doesn't have much value. But the example that we had heard from this particular teaching was that her word was so powerful at the time that they kept it because that's what she had said. That's what I was saying. Things were so different then. Like what we might consider being chaste is not having sex with somebody beside your husband, where Prabhupada's mother's idea of being chaste was you don't be seen by any common man, and even if you're going next door, you go in a covered palanquin so no one can see you. It wasn't to say that that was wrong, it was to say that that was right. And so Kunti's word, she made a certain statement and it should have been kept, and it was kept. It wouldn't have been kept nowadays because we would have said, oh, well, you didn't know that they were talking about this or that, so you should change your word. But it was such a high standard. I was thinking the same thing that you were thinking, but I just didn't go into that end of things.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I pray that I do not commit myself in that way, because at my level, I will reverse.
Right.
Shrimara Prabhu, I'm sorry, but if I give my word and I realize the word is going to cause some trouble, I might change my word. I'm praying that I'll get to that level where I say what I mean and I mean what I say. Thank you for sharing that, and Brother JAYASRI, thank you so much. See, I am very, very excited to see you here, because when I was communicating with you, I left it blank and just depended on Guru and Krishna that we will have you or we will not have you, because you shared with me your engagements. So
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
very grateful.
I was
that you could
surprised
be
when
here.
I saw the new poster. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't really say I was going to do that.
Yes, you didn't. I was telling some devotees that this is what happened. So,
Yeah.
brother, my apologies. My
Oh,
apologies.
it's okay. But I do leave for California on the 17th, and I'll be there at least 2 months.
Whoa.
I go and stay with my oldest son in LA in the winter.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you're doing that because the weather here around this time is not too good. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's better you move into California around this time. I think, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all, with one love, one heart, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our beloved auntie, Grace JAYASRI Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us as she always does. Today, Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Anta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All glories to Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Her Grace Mother JAYASRI Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo, everyone.
Hare